welcome to the next part of our limited set review for Tarkir Dragonstorm. I am here joined by Ryan, this way, Ryan Condon. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Ryan. I'm one of Nicole's Sanctum teammates. We love talking limited together, so we thought we would record it for Dragonstorm.
Here we are. So at this point, I believe, have already filtered out the signpost uncommons. So those are not in here. We talked about those first, kind of as, a way to learn the mechanics for the set. And so we're going to look at the rest of the multicolor cards, the artifacts, and the lands. And then we'll move on to rares after that. Are you ready, Ryan?
Ready.
All right. I will start off with the reigning victor. Oh man, this is a mana cost that I have to say out loud.
There's a cycle of these, so we'll like do this one and then we'll shortcut the rest.
Okay, so it's either hybrid. I'm trying to find a good way to say this. 2 or Mardu. So like it's either 2 red, 2 white, or 2 black. They're hybrid. And then it's 3/3. So at the lowest it's a 3 mana 3/3. At the best it's a 6 mana 3/3.
Yep.
Confusing. It's got a mana cost. Mobilize 1. Whenever it attacks, you make a tapped 1/1, and you sacrifice it. I think we know what Mobilize does by now. Whenever this creature enters, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn.
Okay. So
you either need to have perfect 3 mana, 3 colors, or you can have 2 colors and it's 4 mana, which is probably the most likely option.
I think so, yeah. I thought about this mana cost a lot because there's like, I think 2 cycles maybe of these mana costs in the set. I think on average these are going to cost a little bit less than 4 mana. That's like my proposal. So that I think that's how we should evaluate them, where sometimes you'll have access to all 3 colors and you'll just be able to play it as a 3-drop and it will be like, pretty solid there, probably like above rate. And then most of the time you'll be able to play it for either of the 2 color combinations for 4 mana, and that'll be like its baseline. Very rare, I think, that you would need to spend 5 mana on one of these things, unless there's one that's just like really, really good rate, and it would encourage you to like play it in any deck. Weirdly, too, these are just like colorless cards at 6 mana, which is very confusing. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. I think they're mostly like very flexible 4 drops in this wedge space of 3 colors, this one being Mardu. So yeah, what do we think about this like creature and body and ability and stuff?
With that, I mean, I think this card is fine. It's in Mardu, so my guess is that the intent is that you're giving a creature that has mobilize, indestructible for the turn, so that you can attack with it. I think I want to treat them like, while I'm thinking about them, as 4 mana cards, and a 4 mana 3/3 with Mobilize 1 doesn't excite me. To be honest, a 3 mana 3/3 with Mobilize 1 is honestly not even that exciting to me. I mean, I don't think the card's bad or anything, but I'm probably not picking it any, like a lot of the time with multicolor cards, you're picking them up higher than other commons, and I don't think that's true for this one. In fact, I think because of like the increased cost if you don't have it, I don't really want to play this, I think, super highly at 4 mana. I think I'm actually treating it a little lower than the average common. Like, not quite an 8, but I don't see it quite at a 7. I think I'm treating it like a 7.5 in my head.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would note is that like this isn't really a multicolor card. It's almost more flexible than like a monocolor card in some ways. It's really hard to say whether it's like multicolor or like monocolor. Um, the mana cost is tricky because like if you're in a 3-color deck, it's just like you can cast it whenever, basically, for 4 mana.
While the mana cost, I don't think, is super relevant to whether these cards are 3-color. Like, this is a mobilized card, so it fits in the Mardu colors, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's very unlikely I want this in like my green blue deck.
I
regardless
just mean
of
more
what
for
color
like
it
how
is.
difficult it is to cast. This is basically like colorless in a black-white deck splashing red, or a red-white deck splashing black, or a black-red deck splashing white, whereas an actual like black-white card, for example, would not be colorless in 2 out of those 3, right?
Yeah.
So
I
I
guess
do think in
with
some
all of
meaningful
those
ways it
colors,
is
I'm not
more
super excited to
flexible.
cast this card.
Yeah, yeah, I think like I'm fine with it and like somewhat happy with it in that space, and I think pretty unhappy with it outside of that space. So like I think you do need all three of these colors in your deck to like want this. I think I'm a little higher than you. I think this is like slightly better than the average common if you're in Mardu, or like some kind of Mardu-y space. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I'd probably give it like a 6.5.
Okay.
Cool. I think that the
Now
discussion of
you
these
get to
mana
say the
costs
mana
is going to be
cost.
valuable. Yeah, my turn. So, Monastery Messenger for 2 aura blue, 2 aura red, and 2 aura white. That's my attempt. You get a 2/3 flying vigilance, and when this creature enters, put up to one target non creature, non land card from your graveyard on top of your library. Weird. So,
Yeah,
you're not drawing a card, you're just putting something on top, which is not very valuable, I don't think. And then the body is a 2/3 flying vigilance, which is fine. If this were a monocolored card, I would say that's like just about on rate, maybe very slightly below. Um, yeah, I'm probably putting this at like a 7. I think this is
yeah, me
like
too.
very average common level card. And if you're somewhere in the Jeskai space, it will basically be as castable as a monocolor card in there, I think.
Yeah, I think these cards, like, the mana cost makes them a little awkward to evaluate. But, like, this one, if you thought about it just being, like, a Jeskai 2/3 that puts something from your graveyard on top, right? Like, that's the best this card ever is. That I think maybe gets, like, a 6. But anytime it's more expensive than that on rate, it's a little lower. I think 7's a totally fine place to be. All right, this time we have Teamer Tawny back. This is 2 aura green, 2 aura blue, 2 aura red. Say it faster. For a
Say it 3
4/3.
times fast
When
now.
this when this creature enters, draw a card, then discard a card. I'm starting to get, the more we read these, I'm starting to get less and less excited. Like the mobilize one, it like had a lot of text. You were thinking about how exciting it was. This one at best is a 3 mana 4/3. If you have exactly teamer colors, and then you draw discard, and then even a 4 mana 4/3, which is like where we're talking about them at base, draw a card, discard a card, is not very exciting to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they've got the perks of like being a little bit flexible. Like, you can either play it in a deck that's like base green blue or base green red or, whatever it is. But I mean there's just like in mono green, there's better colors with better mana values. I'm unexcited.
Yeah,
7.5.
for sure. I think I agree. Like, and I do think they sort of meaningfully cost a little bit less than 4 mana. Not 3, certainly, but like less than 4. Um, you can't really talk about these without talking about the mana costs. They're just so
Mm-hmm.
interesting. But yeah, like these are the common versions of this mana cost cycle, and I think they're meant to be like pretty unexciting and nothing super splashy. And I think we're like correctly evaluating them as like these are just normal commons, basically. Um, and they're like commons in a wedge, but they're sort of monocolored in that wedge. It's really weird how
Mm-hmm.
they like pulled that off. I think it's really elegant design, honestly.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
cool design.
yeah, I agree with like I would give this probably a 7, not a 7.5, but quibbling doesn't really matter.
I'm giving the flavor text at least a 3. He just kind of followed me home one day. I mean, could you say no to this face?
Agreed.
Baby.
Next up, Gurmag Nightwatch. 2 aura black, 2 aura green, and 2 aura blue for a 3/3. And when this creature enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one of those cards back on top of your library, put the rest into your graveyard. I'm not super excited about this one either.
This
For
is kind of
four
like at
mana,
best a 3 mana 3/3 that surveils 3, but you can only leave one on top.
yeah. And like, that is just not very good, but it's not horrible either, especially in this deck that really likes putting cards in the yard. Um, uh,
7.5.
7.5. Yeah,
I've
I'm in
declared it.
agreement. Like, these are all just, I, I'm so impressed with the designers at how precisely they costed these to be like exactly worth 3.75 mana or whatever.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
All right, now we have the reputable merchant. Oh, what a good frog turtle. This is
Actually,
two
it's a
or white,
human
two or
citizen,
black,
Nicole.
two or green. When this creature enters or dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control for a 2/2. So this one enters as a 3/3 and then puts a counter on something when it dies. I think I'm a tad more excited for this one than the other ones. I like the counter mechanic. It seems pretty strong. And you can put the counter somewhere else if you want to, which is nice. You can like put the counter on something and then block with it. It dies and then put the counter on something else. I think I put this one at the average common of a 7.
I agree. Yeah, I think it might even be a little bit better than that because we saw you really kind of care about the counter synergies quite a lot in black and green. So I think this might even, you're getting 4/4 worth of stats out of a card. Um, Not immediately, but eventually. Yeah, but it like mostly costs 4. So okay, yeah, I probably agree. I think it's just like a 7. Um, I'm minorly annoyed at the Wizards designers for a very, very marginal thing. They made every one of these give you exactly 3.75 worth of mana value, but this one gives you 4 mana value, and it's messing with my perfection human sensors, so I'm minorly annoyed. That's mostly a joke. They're all very well designed cards. And the last one, Defibrillating Current. 2 aura red, 2 aura white, 2 aura black for a sorcery, and it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain 2 life.
One moment, I'm going to challenge you. This is not the last one. This is the first one of the uncommons.
Oh, good call. Thank you.
So this is the
Um,
next cycle of them.
yes, so the uncommons should give us a little bit more value, and I think this one does. Like 4 damage to something will remove most things that you care about, not everything, but like a lot of stuff. And then gaining 2 life, that sort of incidental life gain, is really good on removal like this, just because it's good at stabilizing you. It's not amazing by any means. 4 mana sorcery speed removal is like pretty clunky, but I'm
I don't
happy
even
with
know how I feel
this.
about 3 mana sorcery deal 4. Like, I
Really.
mean, it gains 2, but it's 3 mana in specific colors. Otherwise, it's 4 mana deal 4. I feel like that's way below rate.
I don't think I would say way below rate. I think I would say like exactly on rate, and I mean like totally fine. And then the gaining 2 life pushes it a little bit above an average common for me.
Okay, I mean, it is like an a removal spell, so I can agree with that. So, like 6, is that where we're at?
Yeah, I would say 6. I think that's pretty
Okay,
reasonable.
I'm fine with that. All right, now we have Riverwell Sweep. This is 2 hybrid Jeskai. I think that's what I'm gonna do. For a sorcery, tap target creature, put 3 stun counters on it. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't hate this one. It impulse draws, which is kind of cool, and stuns a creature for a couple of turns. It doesn't solve it permanently, but it does go up a card. I think I still don't love it. It is not quite a removal spell like the last one. I think I'd probably put this one like a 6.5.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's not a removal spell, but it also just draws a full card basically. Um, yeah, I think
Would you
I would
play
say
three
it's
mana draw a card?
exactly no, but I would play 3 mana, get a significant amount of tempo draw card, probably. Although I might not play 4 mana that. So yeah, that's fair. Um, no, I still think I want to give this a 6. I think this is going to be really good in the Jeskai space.
Maybe. It does help with the double spelling.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say 6, but quibbles. Dragonclaw Strike. 2 aura green, 2 aura blue, and 2 aura red, so the teamer one. For a sorcery, it says double the power and toughness of target creature you control until end of turn. Then it fights, not bites, but fights, up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. Doubling is a powerful ability in Magic. If you have a reasonably sized creature, this might just get in a ton of damage. Doesn't give
Yeah, and it's really
trample.
cool, like with some of the trample things and stuff.
Yeah, you kind of need something that already has trample, but if you do, then this could be a huge blowout. Um, I like it. I like it a lot. I don't love it because often it will just be a 4 mana removal spell. Because like the fight means that it's hard for you to get a profitable attack with this afterwards sometimes, and often you really want to get that attack because you just made your creature really high power, but it'll
Mhm.
have damage on it, so it makes it a little bit worse. But doubling, obviously, I think the thing is, you sort of do still need to have a pretty large creature on the battlefield to get like really good value out of this, which makes me a little bit worried that it's not going to be that common that you get like the full blowout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I like it slightly more than the other ones. Like if we're talking around a 6, I am nearing like 5.8 on this one. Like I like it a
I
little
love
bit
how
more, but
precise
like
you're
not
getting.
enough to get to a 5.5.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 6 too.
All right, mine rounds to 6, so we're at the same number basically. All right, this is Rakshasas. Rakshasa.
I say
I give up.
Rakshasa.
Rakshasa. Oh, I like that more. Rakshasa's Bargain. This is 2 hybrid Sultai. Instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of them in your hand. The rest in your graveyard. This is my favorite one so far.
Yep, I knew it would
You know,
be.
like at instant speed, I'm happy with 4 mana, basically like deluge almost. But it puts them in your yard, which is relevant in this format. I like this card. I want to give this a 4.
I agree.
0.5.
This is like a card that might even be pushed for constructed. So yeah, I think
Yeah,
4.5 is exactly where I would land. Like, yeah, it's very good card draw, but pure card draw can only be prioritized so highly and limited, I think.
I agree.
Kin Tree Severance. 2 aura white, 2 aura black, and 2 aura green for an instant, and exile target permanent with mana value 3 or greater. Straight up removal spell, normally will cost about 4 mana, and gets rid of a big thing, can't hit a small thing. Good.
Flexible in colors. I like this one.
Yeah, I like it. It not hitting small things makes it somewhat awkward in limited. Like it would be so much better if it just hit everything, but it will still hit the thing you care about most of the time. So I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's similar, I would say, in value to the Sultai one, maybe a little bit worse. I'd give this like a 5, maybe a 5.5.
Mm. No, I think I want to rate it the same as the Sultai one. I think this a 4. This is just cool that you can play like green, white, and 2 and exile a permanent. I don't know. I like this card.
Yeah,
It's
no,
all
that is kind of
permanent.
cool.
It's not just
I guess it
like
is true
creature.
that you can take these, like the ones that don't need to be in a 3 color space. This is what you're pointing out. I'm just sort of explaining it for the audience. Like the ones that don't need to be in a 3 color space can actually be taken as very flexible draft cards early, so they should be prioritized higher. I think you've convinced me. Yeah, I agree. Like 2 green white for a removal spell is something you're going to want to put in a lot of decks. So I'm happy with giving it the same grade. What did we give it? Like a 4.5?
I want to give this a 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah. I like it. It's
I
a
don't know
removal
if I'm
spell.
all the way there.
It's not quite non-conditional, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Okay. Yeah, I'll
And
say
it's
a
an
5. You
instant.
say a 4. Yeah.
All right, now we have Bone. We are done with our hybrid mana costs, finally. This is Bone Karn Butcher. Cairn Butcher.
Karen, I think.
1 Mardu for a 4/4. So it's 4 mana 4/4. Mobilize 2. Attacking tokens you control have Death Touch. So it's
Ooh.
cool. 4 mana
Yeah.
4/4. Mobilizes things. Gives a cool effect. I like it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, the effect is really sweet. Like, they just can't block your tokens. They're just getting in an equivalent amount of damage to the tokens you're attacking with, essentially. And
Yeah.
then they kind of have to block this first before they do anything else. And 4 mana 4/4 is a totally fine rate, so I like it a lot. I mean, 3 color card, obviously, caveat, but like, if you can cast it, you're probably interested in casting it.
Yeah. Exactly my thought was I would probably give this card a 4, but it's a 3 color card, so I want to give it a 4.5. Like it deserves like a hit, but I don't quite want it at 5. It feels a little better than the cards we've given a 5.
Yeah, I would say Yeah, I think I like that. 4.5. Exactly. Sonic Shrieker. This one's sweet. 2 and Mardu for a 4/4 flyer. When it enters, it deals 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. And if a player is dealt damage this way, they discard a card.
Ooh. Oh,
So
I like
you're
this
getting a
card.
card out of this baby, and it's a 5 mana 4/4 flyer, and you gain 2 incidental life. This is a banger. I'm splashing this whenever I can.
It's a dragon. That means the murder costs 2 more. And we can use it
True.
to behold.
True.
I like this card.
Yeah.
This card's pretty cool. I like this. I think even in Mardu, I want to call it a 4. Um, I would probably call it more if it wasn't Mardu. It
Yeah,
doesn't touch
Mardu's going to
green.
be the color pair that's like probably hardest to splash in. Um,
Yeah, but
yeah.
the card does a lot. It's like its rate is very good. And I would like it in my decks that are in Mardu colors. So I think I want to give
I
it a
think I'm going
4.
to give this a 3. I think this is going to be one of those multicolor cards that your soup decks just want to take really highly.
Yeah, I can see that. Jeskai Brushmaster. This is one Jeskai for a 2/4 with double strike and prowess. Um, Double strike and prowess are typically pretty scary words to put together, and 4 toughness is a nice number of toughness. I think this card is fairly strong. These are when we talked about wanting strong 3-color cards. We've done it. We found them. Um,
Here they are.
all of these 3-color cards are cards you're pretty happy to play. Just Guy feels like colors I'm a little less excited about. I think I want to call this one 4.5 again. I'd even possibly go to 5. This one doesn't like impact the board as much when you play it, but it is pretty threatening once it hits the board. But it does need a little bit of help. I think I
Yeah,
like
I
5.
agree. Yep, I think I like 5 too. Maybe even a 6. Like, this can just get removed. 4 toughness is nice, so it's not easy to remove. Um, Very, very, very hard to tangle with in combat. Insane with the 1 in a white +3/+0 and draw a card trick. Uh, that'll just kill them off like on the spot. So I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's also the
I'm good
red
with like a
+3
5.
+0. Oh, this is a cheeky deck waiting to happen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Insert tier
Oh,
cheeky.
that is like that is if you're trying to figure out what you're dead to, one of the things you always have to think about in this format if
Yep.
you don't have a blocker up.
Insert tier cheeky. I like it.
5, I think I'm good with. Jeskai Shrinekeeper, 2 and a Jeskai for a 3/3 flying haste, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Sweet. I think you'll be able to
Good.
get in with this the turn you play it most of the time, which means it's just like a value creature. This card's really good. I would give it a 5, I think, because I don't think it's gonna like run away with a lot of games, but it'll be quite good in a lot of games. 5 mana is a lot. It doesn't really bring you back from behind, but it'll be quite good in games that are relatively even or really good in games where you're ahead, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Mammoth Bellow. 2 Teamer. Make a 5/5 elephant. So 5 mana, make a 5/5. Then from your graveyard, you can cast it again for Harmonize for 5 Teamer and tap something. I'm sweating. I'm Han bothered.
I'm in love with
This
this
card is
card.
great.
This card's so good.
It's like 5 mana, make a 5/5, and then the following turn, 3 mana, make another 5/5. This card, banger. I'm a big fan. I want to give this like a 3.5 because it's Teamer.
I agree.
If it wasn't 3 colors, it would be getting a solid 3, possibly a 2. But in 3 colors, I feel the need to not give it a grade above a 3.5.
Everything you said, total agreement. Yeah, this is the best 3 color card we've seen so far. It's just incredible. You just get 2/5/5s out of it. That's nuts. That's really good.
All right, we're gonna have to move on. I'm Han bothered.
We have, oh, this is a hard one to pronounce. Karakik
That's what
Guardian?
I was gonna say. Yeah.
Okay. 3 and a teamer,
Sorry.
so 6 mana, for a 6/5 flying vigilance trample, but that's not where the abilities end. This creature also has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. Whew. This is also just a
What? This is
incredible.
disgusting.
This would be a mythic rare in like for the first 10 years of Magic's history, even though mythic rares
This
didn't
card
exist.
is disgusting.
It's really good, man. So
I think this
these are
one
like
gets
how you get
two.
into Teamer, I guess. Is like you open one of these two uncommons, and you just need to build a deck that can produce Teamer mana.
I want to give it a two.
Yeah, I think this
This
is a
card's
two.
a
This is just like a
banger.
bomb. It's like you play this and they like can't attack into it, and you can attack back, and then finally they can remove it, but you're untapped and it is a 6/5. Like this card's nuts.
This card's, yeah, cracked in half. Very good.
2.5, did we say?
I gave it a
Yeah.
two.
Okay. I'll say two and a
But
half.
you could say
Three
two
color
and a half
card.
because of the mana cost.
But
All
like
right,
this
now we have
is a
a
format where you will be able to cast these three color cards. Like in
yeah,
most
yeah.
formats, we'd be giving them much lower grades, but the expectation is you can build decks that can cast these, even if they're in like different three color pairs. Like you can build a four color deck that can splash for a certain number of these. So that's why we're giving them high grades.
Yeah. Okay, this card's cool. Lie in Wait. This is Sultai. Um, it is a sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Lie in Wait deals damage equal to that card's power to target creature. So it is both a like draw a card from your graveyard and also a removal spell. I like this card. But it does require a card to be in your graveyard. I think I probably want to give this like a four.
Yeah, I might even say no. I think a four is right. Like it is a pretty clean 2 for 1 when you can cast it, but you do kind of need to set up a spot where you can cast it a little bit. Um, Very sweet though. Like this card's really good. I love it. I would, yeah, I think a four is fair. It's not like
I'm excited to draft
proactively
this
good,
set
but
now.
it's very reactively good. Oh, and it also triggers all of your leaves the graveyard stuff. I don't know. This might even be
Ooh.
like a 3.5.
Okay, I'm giving it 3.5. I agree.
3.5. Keru Goldkeeper, 1 and a Sultai, so 4 total mana, flying, 3/3 dragon, and whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. Is this fixing? Kind of. And then it has Renew for 2 and Sultai. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put 2+1/+1 counters and a flying counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So you just make another dragon basically out of your graveyard with whatever creature
Yeah.
you have. Hi,
Yeah.
Luna.
Oh, hello. You can be the
Um,
dragon, yeah.
this card is it's interesting. Like 4 mana 3/3 flyer is not great, especially in 3 colors. So like baseline, this is not excellent at like catching you up from behind, which makes it a lot worse than some of these other 3 color cards. But if you can get this in your yard somehow, that's a really valuable ability to have from the yard. I think making the treasures will be possible in these like greedy Sultai decks that want to splash a lot, and that'll be really valuable. So I think this is like a card you're going to actively want in certain decks, but I don't think you are going to want to warp your draft to be able to produce these 3 colors, which I think makes it sort of in a different category than the other 3 color cards we've been talking about. I'd probably
Yeah,
give
I want to
this
call it a.
a 6.
I was gonna give it a five.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah, I
still a
think
good
somewhere
card.
around there.
Like its rate is still pretty good. It works well within its colors, and its renew effect is pretty good. Also flies. Um, I like it, but I agree it's a little under the other ones.
Yep.
You said skirmish rhino? This is skirmish rhino. Its mana cost is Abzan. It is a 3/4. Um, it's got trample, and when it enters, each opponent loses 2, and you gain 2.
Really good.
Yeah,
Like
it's a good card.
I I
Drain
think
three
this
four.
card is good whenever you cast it. You obviously prefer to cast it on turn 3 if you can, because it's like very, very good there. But like it'll be relevant on almost any board. Um, yeah, I don't know exactly how high to rate this card because I don't think it's like great on a splash, but it's certainly not terrible. I think if you can if you're splashing another like white card, say, in a Sultai deck, you'll probably also play this. But if this is your only white card, maybe you don't play it. I think that's kind of where I land.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Like a
Five?
5.
Yeah, I think five.
I agree. All right.
Armament Dragon. 3 and an Abzan for a 3/4 flyer. When it enters, distribute 3+1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. Whew. So, baseline, this is a 6 mana, 6/7 flyer. That's really good. Or I should say, like, that's a pretty strong baseline. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't want the card to just be only that because then it could just get removed pretty easily. But this just distributes the counters anywhere you want. So even if it gets killed, you've just gotten some power toughness out of it anyway. I think this card's quite strong. I think worth splashing a lot of the time, just because like 6 mana is, being worth 6 mana, you'll be able to get there by the time you find the other source. And
Yeah.
I would give it like probably a 4.5, maybe.
Yeah, I was giving it a 5. Mostly because it seems like there are a lot of cards in this set that you're happy to spend a lot of mana on.
That's true.
And so, it is kind of fighting for a slot. I don't think you necessarily need to be taking your 6 drops very highly. Um, you will get some number of large creatures. And so, is this one that much better than the rest of them? I'm not sure. It's definitely still good, but I'm prioritizing it a little less on pick order because there's so many big creatures. Like the 4 mana ones that impact the board as soon as they hit, I rate them a little bit higher because they impact the game earlier. But with the big creatures, there's a lot of contention over this spot in the deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so now we're going into a cycle of uncommons where they're omens, but the omen is a different color than the card. The first one is Disruptive Stormbrood. This is 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer. When it enters, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment. And then the Omen is 1 and a black. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. This card's a banger. It's a 2 mana
Yeah,
removal spell for small things, or it's a disenchant on a flyer. This card's great.
the range that this covers is like pretty wide. Like
Yeah.
that card, the Omen, was essentially just like a normal limited removal spell not that long ago. I think Reeve Soul or whatever it was called. Maybe it was
Mm-hmm.
long ago. Maybe I'm just a boomer. But anyway, that's like a very strong card. And then you sometimes just get a 5 mana 3/3 flyer that destroys something when it enters. Like that's excellent too when it's good. And when it's not good, you just have a normal removal spell. So like I think this card's very, very strong. The shuffling back into your library is really nice because in a long game, the dragon's more likely to be relevant. So maybe you draw it later. Um, I don't think it's like a premium card, but it's also just very flexible. You can pick it early in a draft. Know you'll be probably in black, and then maybe can produce green mana at some point, and like that's strong. You'll play that almost every time. So yeah, I would say I think I'm landing on like a 5 for this.
I was gonna give it a 4. I
Okay.
just think it's like
Yeah.
it's flexible. It's a removal spell in multiple different ways. Like it's a flexible removal spell. I like this card. I'm settling on 4, I think.
I do too. I think I'm willing to go to 4. Yeah, I can go to 4. The flexibility in a draft matters a lot. Next, we have Purging Stormbrood. This is 4 and a black for a 4/4 flying with ward pay 2 life. And when it enters, remove all counters from up to one target creature. And then the Omen is a 1 and a white instant that says target creature gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink and hexproof until end of turn. Both of these are like just
This
straight
card's
up
push.
on rate cards. Yeah. So when you get the optionality between both of them, it just becomes like a really incredible card.
Like one of
Um,
the problems with the like white instant combat tricks is that they need to be in your deck and they're very conditional. You need to like be in combat for them to matter or like something of said nature. And this card is just like a banger creature being a 4/4 flyer with ward that does something when it enters, on top of, like, prior to that being a spell that also can save your cards. I mean, I think this card's great. I like almost am thinking I want to go higher than a 3, but maybe that's a little too aggressive.
Yeah, I no, I think I would give it like a 3. Uh, the trick is very good, the body's very good, but in any given game, unless you draw it again, like you're only using one of them. So you're basically guaranteed to use this as a very strong card in almost every game you draw it. So I think that's like really valuable, but I don't think it's ever going to like run away with a game on its own, is how I put it. So I think that's like a 3. I don't think it rises to the like 1 or 2 like bomb
Yeah,
tier
I
for
agree.
me.
Banger. All right, we are now with Twin Maw Stormbrood. This one is a 6 mana 5/4 flyer, and when it enters, you gain 5. Always great base rate on cards like this. And then its Omen side is 1 in a red for Charring Bite, which deals 5 damage to target creature without flying. This one's also super pushed.
These
These
are all
cards are
just really
great.
pushed. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
borderline, I
great
could,
red
like, say
removal
in your first
spell.
draft, read the rares, and then you can probably take one of these guys, and you're probably pretty happy. They're all so strong. I think this
Agreed.
was also 3. Um, it's a removal spell, but it is without flying, so that it does have some sort of drawback. But I mean, 6 mana 5/4 flyer gain 5 is also just like, you know, pretty good rate.
5 is so much life, and like that's exactly what you want on your 6 mana slightly clunky body. It just makes up for it. Like it stabilizes you so often. Like, yeah, this
This is a
card's
great card at
incredible.
stabilizing because it's a sorcery that destroys something and it gains life.
I agree. These cards are exactly in the range of like better than all the commons, better than almost all the uncommons, and see if your rare is good and then decide whether you want this or the rare. Like these cards are great. This is like a 3.
Yeah. All right.
Next we have Rune Scale Stormbrood. So 3 in a red for a 2/4 flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature or a dragon spell, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then the Omen is 1 in a blue for an instant counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. This is, I think, very slightly worse than the other ones.
I
The
agree.
Omen is
It's
just
definitely a
slightly
little bit
more
worse than.
conditional, and the body is slightly less impactful, but it does cost a full mana less, which does matter. Like this can be a pseudo 4/4 flyer for 4, which is quite good. But
Yeah, but with the omens, like, this one's nice because if you're already playing the flyer, like, if you don't cast the counterspell, you don't really care. But like with the rest of them, I feel like it's really relevant what part of the game you're in. Like, there's a mode that works really well in the early parts of the game, and then you got this big dragon after. And I don't think that what you want on this card is for it to be middling that. Like this one, you know, it's almost always going to be a dragon. Most of the time it sounds like you're going to want a 2/4 flyer that does something rather than countering a spell mana value 2 or less. Like, spells that are mana value 2 or less are just not very impactful normally. So it's like kind of just an upside on a 2/4. I think the card is still good, but I don't think it's quite at the rate of the other ones.
totally agree. I think I would give this probably a 6, maybe a 5, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
it is really nice to have the option of just using this as your 2 drop to counter their 2 drop if you have a clunky hand. Like, that's real value, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the other omens on these dragons, and the body is debatably like the same because it costs a full mana less than a lot of them, but is like not super duper impressive. So yeah, I think I would give this like, yeah, 5 or 6.
Luna, you're killing me. All right, this is the last of our multicolor cards. We have Whirlwing Storm Brood. This is a 5 mana 4/3 flash flying dragon. You may cast sorcery spells and dragon spells as though they had flash. Hoo-hoo. And then its omen is 2 and a green. Put 3+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. This one is also a banger. We just looked at a bunch of really crazy dragons where them having flash is like, and even sorceries is kind of insane. It's also just a 4/3 flash flyer. We've seen several instants in blue where you could hold them up, and then if you didn't get to play your instant, you were super happy to play this dragon. Um, Omen, I think, is probably a little worse than the other omens, but I think it is made up for by the fact that the creature's a little better. It doesn't have removal stapled on it like the other ones, so while I have like the best ones at a 3, I think this one's probably a 4. I think it's probably like a little lower than the other ones, but I still rate it pretty highly.
I'm a little less impressed with this. Like, 5 mana 4/3 doesn't block super well, and you need to untap with it to cast your spells with flash, and even then you need like a dragon or a sorcery, which is pretty specific. And then I agree the omen is like worse. It costs a full extra mana. Building a creature that's like really big can be super great sometimes, but like oftentimes you can get blown out if they have like a bounce spell or a non-damage based removal spell. I think this
Yeah,
is
I think
the worst of the dragons we've seen. I would put it at
I
like a
think I just
6.
really like the flash part. I definitely like this one more than the red one, I think. I really
I
like
think
this
I
flash
disagree.
text. 4/3 seems like it can flash in and do some pretty nifty things. I definitely agree that the worst ones are between this one and the red one. The
Yeah.
other three seem like they're pretty far ahead of these ones.
Yeah, I
I could
think I
go
would
down to like
give.
a 5.
Okay, yeah, I think the flexibility matters. Okay, I'll meet you at 5. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah,
I
and it's a
do I
dragon.
do I will claim that I think this one is worse than the red one.
I could see it. The red one might have a better place. Um, like this might be just like okay in the blue decks where the red one like fits better into the red decks.
Yeah.
All right, so now we are moving on to the artifacts. Our first one is Embermouth Sentinel. It is a 2 mana 2/1. When it enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it on the top of your deck. If you control a dragon, put that card onto the battlefield tapped instead.
Whew. I mean, controlling a dragon is tough to do in the early game, so this is really not gonna ramp you very often. But if are there any cheap dragons? Like anything that costs like 3 even? I don't think so. So, yeah, that text sounds really promising, but like this is never going to help you cast your expensive spells. All it's going to do is like be better than a card that is super blank in the late game when you have a dragon out. Um,
Yeah. So what I treat these is always like if you need fixing, this is like the last of the cards you will play to get that fixing.
I
Like
agree.
if you need fixing and you need 2 drops, it's a fine card to play, but not typically a card you're happy to play. It's like 23rd card. I'd give this probably like an 8.
I also think in this set, you're gonna want to splash without having a basic a good amount of the time, where you have we'll get to them soon, but like the 2 color game lands at common, you've got the tri lands at uncommon, and then you have these devotees that fix your mana. You've got some other cards that are like fixers without searching for basics. And this card is a bad card to put in your deck, so I don't want to put this and a basic in my deck. I would much rather fix with some other kind of thing. This feels like a card that is splashing something in a 2 color deck that is like really, really worth splashing, but you just didn't pick up any other fixing for it. And those 2 color decks will exist in this format, and there will be really powerful stuff that you happen to pick up, and you can play this in those. But like Nicole's right. It's a last resort. Um, I'm giving this an 8, I guess.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. Like as it's an artifact, it's flexible. And if you end up with one in your deck, it is what it is. But not happy. I could even see us arguing with a 9. We've talked about a lot of high grades, but I don't think it's super relevant.
I think you value it more than other cards that are 9 good cards because you just want the option to slash, I think. So I think I'm
Yep.
comfortable with 8. Next, we've got Watcher of the Wayside. 3 colorless for a 3/2 artifact golem. When it enters, target player mills 2 cards, you gain 2 life. Coming from the multicolor, going straight to the colorless is like so depressing.
Yeah, underwhelming.
Um,
Like, man, I just looked at all these
yeah,
bangers. What are these cards I'm reading?
this one, it's legal to put in your limited Magic the Gathering deck. You will not be laughed out of the room if you cast this card.
I
However,
just wouldn't
you
suggest it.
almost never want to cast it. You almost never will need to cast it. It's, I guess, better in Sultai space a little bit because that's where the mill is relevant. Uh, But yeah, like this like colorless defensive speed card that like gains you some life and puts out a reasonable body and like gets you a little bit toward your engine. I would much rather that card structurally cost 2 rather than 3 mana. And so I think this is going to be a card that I just like almost never end up playing. That's my guess.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
giving
agree.
it like a 9. I think it's not a 10 because it's just a playable body, but like it's a 9 for me.
I agree.
Cool.
No notes. All right, we have Dragon Storm Globe. This is our 3 mana rock that our blue card can search. Also, now that I've seen the amount of dragons, I'm slightly higher on that card, although not like crazy. Um, this is our mana rock, and it says each dragon you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter. I think, if you need fixing, if you want your deck to ramp a little, totally fine. Um, there are definitely enough dragons where like you will have a dragon, then that may happen once or twice during the game, so it's a little bit more than just a mana rock. And the stats are probably relevant on those dragons. I think this card's probably like a fine common 7, 7.5.
I agree. Yeah, I think this might even be a sneaky build around. Like, if you get a couple of those banger uncommon removal spell dragons, and you just pick up like 2 to 3 of these in a draft, you can then prioritize all the other omen dragons and maybe like a rare or two, and then
Mm-hmm.
your deck just becomes this like sweet deck where all your dragons are like slightly overstated and you can manolith into them and you have all these 2 mana removal spells. I think this is low key like both a total common like role player and a card that might actually be sort of an awesome build around. Um,
Yeah. 5 color
so
dragon seems like a definitely a deck you can draft.
yeah, which I like. I like that design. I think it is a really well designed card. I'd give it. I think I'm gonna bump it up to like a 6.5. I
Yeah,
think this
I'm in.
is you prioritize it a little bit higher in a draft because it has this upside that's sort of hidden.
I agree.
Now we have Jade Cast Sentinel, 4 mana for a 1/5 reach, and it has 2 tap, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. Oh, they did care about Sam Black in the end after all.
It taps
Um,
though.
it does. Yeah, this card's bad. Um, Sam will play it probably in some of their draft decks, but like,
I play
yeah,
some of these
you
cards
almost never play
typically
this.
when you deck. I'm giving this card a 10.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not good
like
enough.
maybe you sideboard it in sometimes, but you just never need to prioritize it. 10, I think I'm happy with that. 9.5 maybe
Yeah,
for
I
a
also think there's
Sam.
enough big threats, evasion, removal that you will be able to close out games. Um, and normally these are really good in formats where like you can't close out games.
Agreed. Yeah,
All right, this is
basically true.
Boulderborn Dragon. This is the other card the blue card searches. It is a 3/3 flying vigilance dragon, and when it attacks, you surveil 1. It's pretty underrated. If I already wanted to have the mana rock and I was playing, a dragon deck and I already had the other card, I would probably play 1 copy just to, have both to search. Um, it's also a dragon, so it can be beheld for things. If you search it, I'm gonna give it like a 9.5, being that I would never draft this card unless I had that specific instance where I was going to be getting it out of my deck for free.
Would you say it can be held, Nicole?
Mhm.
Yeah, like my suspicion with this is you're almost always going to be able to find enough dragons that are just way better than this to put in your deck. So I just think like this card exists if you went all in on the dragon synergies and didn't find enough dragons, which it feels like is not supposed to happen the way this set is designed. And even then, like even if you're doing the dragon stuff, I'm not excited about it. It's good if you can curve the mana rock into it. That's like the joke. That's the really powerful interaction. Um, and I guess like if you do have the blue card and this and the mana rock in your deck, it is kind of a nice curve. Like if you cast the blue card on 1, you tutor for the mana rock on 2, you play it on 3, you play this on 4. That's not bad, but it's so precise and it requires you to play 3 back. Okay, I'm convincing myself. outfit again. Yeah,
Well, I think
9.5,
you're okay
10.
playing the mana rock. So I think if you're already playing a deck where like you happen to be playing this blue card and you're already playing the mana rock, like if you
And you've
draft
got
one
some
of these,
behold
you might as well put
stuff.
it in your deck. That's why I said
Yeah,
9.5. Like if
yeah.
I'm looking at two cards at the end of my pack, I will take this just in case I happen to want to search it.
Cool. Okay, yeah. I think we're in agreement. 9.5.
All right, so our last five are artifacts. They're this series of monuments for the three color archetypes. So we're gonna look at them, but they're the rest of our artifacts. The first one is Mardu Monument. So all of them are, I believe they're all 2 mana, and they all search for a basic of the three colors on the card. So Mardu Monument's 2 mana for an artifact. When it enters, it searches for either a mountain, plains, or swamp. And then they all have effects where you can sacrifice them with some sort of cost involving those colors. So this one's 2 Mardu tap. Sacrifices artifact, create 3/1/1 red warrior creature tokens. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. I think you play them as fixing sometimes. I mean, like, everyone's probably a little different. 5 mana to make 3/1/1s with menace. Like a lot of the time you want to make 1/1s with menace, you like want to play like a trumpet blast or something with them, or and at 5 mana, like it's just a little too expensive to do that. And I think in Mardu specifically, because the colors are a little more aggressive, you don't want to be playing like artifacts that search for basics as much. But I still think that these are definitely above like every common because they fix. Um, I think I want to give this one like a 6.
I have a hot take on these. I think they are all bangers. Uh, how much does divination cost? 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, these cost 2. Like this is just straight up a 2 mana divination, right? You just get a land and you get a semi crappy spell. Uh, that's good, I think. The land comes with selection. This is a format where you really want to value fixing. Like,
If I
I
ever
actually
play a
think these are kind of
divination and I
premium.
draw a land and a crappy spell, I'm pretty disappointed with my divination.
If it costs 2 mana, are you disappointed though? Two colorless mana? I'm happy with that. Like I really am. I think 2 mana
I
for
think
a
I will like most
divination
of
that
these.
draws some slightly bad cards is really good.
I think I'm gonna agree with you on most of them. I just this specifically this Mardu one I think is a little unimpressive for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this one I'm pretty high on it still. Like making these warriors, you're gonna have synergies with those, the like sacrifice card, the you know cards that care about the number of creatures you're attacking with, that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm kind of planting my flag. I'm gonna give this. I almost want to give it a 3, but I can't quite make myself. I'm gonna give this a 4. I think you take these super highly.
Okay, let's look at the
What
Jeskai
do you
one.
give it? Like a 6?
A 6, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I
Let's
think
look
I
at the
think I'm
Jeskai
right.
one.
I think I'm right. Okay, it was just me. Yeah, Jeskai Monument, 2 colorless, and when it searches, you can search for a Jeskai basic, and it has one and a Jeskai. Tap sack, create 2/1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying. Activate only as a sorcery.
I like this one more. This
I
one,
like
the
it
creatures that
almost exactly the same.
no, this one the creatures have evasion. Like the Mardu one, you get the 3/1/1s and they have menace that turn, and then the following turn you end up with like some 1/1s on the ground that I feel like aren't really impacting the game anymore. Where like 2/1/1 flyers, like they can block big things in the air, so they like have that, and they also get a little bit of evasion. I mean, I'm still not giving it a 3 or a 4. I'm probably giving this one like a 5. I think this one's just like slightly better, and I think these colors like having a 2 mana search a basic more.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even realize they had menace. You're only moving me up on the Mardu one. um,
Only for the
yeah,
turn, I think.
yeah, no, only for the turn. I just like forgot that text existed. Um, I think the Jeskai can use the 2/1/1 flyers a little bit worse than Mardu can use the 1/1 haste attackers. But this obviously costs a full mana less, which matters a ton. Um, I think I'm like exactly as high on this card as I was for the Mardu one. I would give it a 4.
Okay. Unlike the other ones I've been pretty low on, I've read ahead to the Teamer one. This one's a banger. I'd consider giving this one a 3. This one makes an elephant
Yep. 6 mana, make a 5/5 elephant.
on top of
That's a good
searching your basic.
divination. That's a great divination to me.
Yeah, this one's a banger. You could argue this one to me to like a 3. This one's good.
Okay, I think I'll give this one a 4. I think I'm like equally high on all of these, basically. I don't actually
Okay,
think this is
this is
significantly
definitely
better.
better than the other ones.
I don't know. 6 is a lot of mana. Like a 6 mana 5/5 is somewhat equivalent, I would say, to 4 mana 2/1/1 flyers or 5 mana 3 menace hasters. Like it's a little better. I prefer it for sure because it's like a real card. Um, yeah, okay. Maybe this is like a half a grade better or something. So
Yeah.
3.5, I guess.
All right,
Yeah.
better. All right, the Sultai one is 2 Sultai tap sack, make 2/2/2s.
I
This one's
like this
probably the
divination.
most underwhelming. I mean, I still like it. And I like anything that is searching in like green and blue colors because I think that those colors are generally a little less aggressive,
Totally
and so
agree.
like you
The
have more
Sultai
time
decks,
to play them.
yeah. The Sultai
I think
decks,
I
I
want to
think,
give
are
this
going to
one
be
a 5.
really like soupy, greedy, splashy. That's kind of the flavor of them.
Mm-hmm.
We saw them making treasure tokens. I think they're going to be the home for that like dragon springleaf drum card. The like three
Mm-hmm.
Wooburg make a big dragon. And so I think this is I on like the 2/2/2s for 5 mana. That's again like very slightly underrate for a card, but it's a card you drew basically for free off of your fixer. So yeah, I'm super high on this. Like, give it a 4.
CFT is thriving. This is exactly what CFT
Absolutely.
wants in their limited decks.
Abzan
Sultai
one minute.
control. All right, this
So the
one
Abzan
makes an
one, yeah,
This one makes an XX White Spirit token where X is the greatest toughness amount among creatures you control. Oh, this was kind of a banger. I guess this
yeah,
one does
like
require something else, but it is cheaper than the other ones.
yeah, I think it's roughly exactly where we rated all the other ones because like it's a lot more conditional, but it will be on rate a lot more often too. Um, yeah, I'll give it a 4.
All right, my final answer is I like all of them. I'm gonna rate any of the ones that have green, blue, or black on them a little bit higher than the other ones.
Mhm.
And the Mardu one is just like a little under for me because I don't like the colors
Fair enough.
and the way they work
Yeah.
with mana rocks. That's my final answer. All right, Evolving Wilds.
Banger
Banger.
alert. Everyone knows Evolving Wilds.
You need to
People
pick
read
this
it
really highly.
anyway.
It's going to be really, really contested to get Evolving Wilds.
Yeah, for sure. Just to read it for people who don't know, tap sacrifice. It's a land that doesn't do anything tapping for mana, but you can sacrifice it to search for any basic. Uh, you should take this card much higher than you think you should take this card in draft. This is a completely fine card to first pick in a weak pack, and I'm considering taking it over cards that I really want in my deck by like pick 3. Uh, this
Mm-hmm.
is just like a very, very, very strong Magic the Gathering card in limited, especially in early in drafts. You just want to set yourself up to be able to splash whatever you want. I'm gonna give this 4, maybe even a 3, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 4 was about what I was going to say. You could argue 3 just because they are going to be super contested. You know, unlike a lot of other formats where there's a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 people at the table that want Evolving Wilds, they're maybe looking at splashing a strong card or, you know, whatever it is. This is a truly like 3-color format with the support for a 3-color format. And so these are going to be a little bit more contested than normal. Um,
It is super hard
Bangers.
for me to see a deck in this format that would not play an Evolving Wilds if it had one.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there will be 2-color like aggro decks or just like normal 2-color decks that might be splashing something, but there might be some that don't, and they might have enough like gain lands where they don't want to play one of these. Like I could see that, but it's pretty corner case. Like every deck wants this, which just means you're going to need to take it really highly, and you should because it sets yourself up to just like do whatever you want in a draft. All right,
Yeah. Draft
off the
responsible fixing.
soapbox. Exactly.
Our last 2 images here are kind of tied together. So I'm going to show both and then, you know, we'll talk about them. The first ones are a cycle of lands that touch all of the colors. These enter tapped and they are gain lands, so they gain you 1 life And then the other set of fixing lands are these guys. And I can move our cameras, but just trust me when I say that they're um, the 3-color combinations in the set, and these enter tapped. I think, you know, there is going to be an amount of fixing available. But like I said, it's going to be more contested than ever because everybody at the table is going to want to play at least 3 colors and want to draft responsible mana bases. And so the way I treat all of these is I value them around like a 4 or a 5. And as long as there's not something premium in the pack I'd rather have over it, and I know I have enough playables, I would rather take a land. I take lands early, I take fixing, especially because like if you open, if you're in 1 or 2 colors in pack 1 and then you open a bomb in the other 3 colors, this format does support you pivoting to play your really broken card that can win you the game. And so, pick fixing highly, play responsible mana bases.
Yeah, I
That's all
think
I got on the
play
ends.
boosters with a 3-color format, I don't think we've seen yet, right? Unless I'm forgetting something. It's gonna be
No,
really
I think the
interesting.
last 3-color format was Nuka Penna.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Like, play boosters means you're more likely to get more rares in your pack, so there's more bombs that you're gonna be able to splash. Um, I will say, I think we should talk about the nuances between these different lands, because, like, I actually do value these tri lands significantly higher than the gain lands. They're just such an efficient way to pack fixing into your deck. You have like 3 tri lands in whatever 4-color space that you're playing in, and it's like if you draw one of them, your fixing is almost fine for the rest of the game. You don't
Yeah,
really need
and the
very little
Tri-lands are
else.
uncommon. So you
Right.
definitely pick them at least 1 tier higher than the game lands, probably 2.
I'm going to give the tri-lands a 2.5. I think you should basically only be taking bombs over them. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then important for the gain lands is the enemy colored ones are much better than the allied color ones. So you want to prioritize those early on in drafts. Um, blue, green, red, white, whatever. The enemy colors, like we were talking about at the beginning, all the way back when we first started recording today. Look at the back of your magic card. Look at the colors that are far from each other. Um, Take those higher. But like Gainlands, I would put overall, I would say enemy color ones are like a 4, and then like allied color ones are maybe like a 6. Like you still value them, but there will be a lot of decks where you can't end up playing whatever allied color Gainland you picked early, so don't take them that highly, but they're still valuable. They're still probably better than the average common.
Yeah, I agree. Draft
Sweet.
responsible mana bases. Okay, so that is the end of this one. Rename multi artifact